For this last interview in this edition of the Empoder Alive, we will witness a new fight between David and Goliath. But the new name of these players are Elon Musk and Nostradamus. So let's go step by step. There is not the same a protocol than a network. You are a good developer of both.
Yes.
Network and protocol. But first is the protocol. So let's talk about you. Will, how did you arrive to this point?
Yeah, I've always been interested in how protocols can improve humanity. And in some sense, like the original vision of the internet was, not a single entity is in control. We can all use it. It's a neutral playing field where we can build, society digitally. So I really truly believe that protocols, at least the original vision from the early days of the internet, really empowers citizens, individuals, and it kind of takes away a lot of the power from centralizing institutions such as corporations, who are really just, their interests are not aligned with humanity. They're just aligned with their pockets, right, in terms of making money. So I think, so protocols have a huge impact could have a huge positive impact on society, and I feel we've kind of moved away from that in recent times. A lot of us rely on these communication networks, from these corporations who don't have our interests in mind. They just want to make money off us. So I've always been interested in different types of protocols which kind of fight against those power structures. So.
Anyway, you have a past as everybody, and you have a story related to the cryptocurrencies and the freedom, liberty. I would like to know about your past.
Yeah, so I got started into Bitcoin in 2010 in a very similar fashion, the same idea. So, there's freedom of speech, which is we want to ensure that for everyone online, but also like freedom to just transact. Like we've had these freedoms since the beginning of time. Like, just giving someone some like gold coin to your friends. You didn't need any permission to do that. It was just interactions between individuals, and I feel like we're kind of losing a lot of that in the digital age. So that's always fascinating me, if we can build this network where we can transact freely without permission, which is becoming increasingly an issue with like inflation and central banks who are printing money and destroying our currency and our livelihoods. So I'm like, so that really like piqued my interest, because I'm like, okay, if we can do that for money, can we do this for social networking? So if you think about it, like what is a decentralized social network? That's actually a really good description of just humanity in general. Like when you invite someone over for dinner, or you go to have a coffee with your coworker, that's a decentralized social network. You're being social, and you don't need permission from anyone to do that. And I think the big trick that corporations have pulled on us is thinking that we need them to do something we've been doing for millions of years in some sense. So I'm like, so my vision with Nostra and my vision with like utilizing protocols to restore humanity is, can we move like basically what we've been doing since the beginning of time? Can we move these ideas into the digital space? And we have that kind of with email. Like you can, no one really controls email, but we don't really have a similar technology for social networking. Like imagine if like you're at your dinner table and Elon's there, he's just saying, no, you can't say that. No, you can't say that. It's like, is this the future we want to build, where you can't even speak freely without worrying about being canceled or being removed from the internet? So I think at the very base level, we need some type of structure to build on, because there are these problems like misinformation and things like that, but I feel like that's actually a bigger risk if we start building tools, misinformation tools, like moderation tools, using centralized networks, because the minute someone becomes the moderator, then they have all the power to say what's right and what's wrong. And this gets to really deep down into philosophy. I'm not a philosopher. I know, Jeremy did a much better job at that the other day, but I truly believe that truth is not black and white, in the sense that back in the day, doctors believed that if you like do bloodletting and like drain the blood of the, and this was like science at the time, right? But truth changes over time, it improves, and so it's not like a static thing. And the minute you have one person making all the moderation decisions, I think that's almost a bigger risk than even misinformation itself. So I believe that if we want to tackle these challenges of misinformation and things like that, we have to build it on a foundation where we're all playing on a level playing field. So that's my philosophy with Nostra. It's like that represents a place where we can all have some basic ground rules like the law, and we can build solutions in the marketplace for doing moderation, but without any centralized control.
Anyway, I am sure that as many of us, about 15 years ago, more or less when you were 18, you started using Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah. How long did your love for Twitter last?
Oh, how long did my love for Twitter last? I mean, I really like Twitter. I feel like Twitter really, it showed what it is to be a part of like a global consciousness, and I think that's like a really addicting thing. Is that you get to tap into the brain of the world in some sense, and you have you get like really up-to-date news and information. So I've been a Twitter user since like 2000, like basically from the start. But then I started to see like, well, whoever's in control of that platform has way too much power, right? Mm-hmm. They get to control, a big problem is, algorithms and what they actually show you on the feeds. These have extreme amount of power over people in the sense that one flick of a switch and they can change society to think a different way. And that's just too much power to have in one hand. So one thing, and this is interesting because one thing I noticed, so when I launched Damus, is people started joining. We had like 10,000. We started to get 20,000 users we're up to now. But initially there's no algorithm. It's just a chronological feed and of just people chatting. And I noticed that people seem to be happier and people seem to be, I'm like, why do people seem happier on this? It's like there's no out. And I started thinking about it and I realized that, the algorithms, their main goal is to drive engagement. And what is engagement? Okay, imagine if you see a fight video and people are fighting and screaming and angry. That is more likely to get responses and likes and clicks, and that's being driven up in everyone's feed. So people are constantly angry and sad and all these things because of these engagement algorithms. And to the corporations, they don't care. They're like, oh, great, people are engaging more. But in fact, it's actually making people sad and angry, and it's like not good for humanity. So just having no algorithm, I realized like, wow, these algorithms are actually harmful for society. I'm not saying all algorithms are harmful, but the issue is having one algorithm with one person in control. So when you start building these decentralized networks, you can have different people trying different things that are like more peaceful, or if you want that angry stuff, you can do that. But we need to have a marketplace for algorithms, and you can build those things on top of Nostra. So I really believe that Nostra is like the first serious approach that kind of brings us back down, levels the playing field, and I think it's super exciting. Yeah.
Will, as you, there is another person who lives in the Pacific coast, and that person is Elon Musk. I would like to ask you what is your personal opinion about him, and if we should be afraid from Elon Musk.
I like the guy. He's doing some cool stuff with space and electric cars. But my concern is, he kind of has an ego, and he has like his vision for the future. And when he's in control of like the communication networks, I feel it's just too much power for one individual. So I like what he's doing, but no one should be at those levers and be able to like change people's opinions at will. So that would be my only concern. And he's really trying to, now he's trying to make payments into his app. He's trying to make the Everything app, and that's even more risk. He's like, now he has the ability to like deny people payments and things like that, which he already kind of did with PayPal. Freezing accounts and. I think he's a great guy. I don't think he's doing it the right way.
If I finish using Twitter and just use Domus, what would be my experience? Would I miss anything?
The biggest thing right now is that we don't have the global network effects. I think that's the thing that is the hard part. So we can build like the best protocol ever. But the thing that's going to be really hard to beat is like, how do you beat the network effects? Everyone wants to be where everyone else is, right? No one's going to join a small network and not have their friends there. So right now we replicated the experience, so it feels very much like Twitter. But a big complaint is that it's hard to find people, it's hard to find content. So how do you bootstrap that? So I think Nostra is the first time where we actually have a really solid plan on how to beat this, in the sense that it's not a centralized platform. So anyone who creates a new app on Nostra will add to its network effects. So if you want to make an Instagram client, if you want to make Twitter-like client, with Verbicha did like a, Substack, Medium-style client for blogging. Every new use case grows our network effects. But what's beautiful about this is that, it's network effects, and it's just people building this, just regular people, devs in their basement, like basically how I started. It's like people with their spare time. Yeah, I mean, this is how I think we can win. If we just keep building use cases, keep building on this network, the network grows, and then anyone who wants to build a new app instantly inherits that entire network. And another beautiful thing about this network is that it's one of the first ones that you are in control of your data. So in every other platform, when you sign up, they hold all of your data. It's hard to get access to it. Maybe you have a permission to delete it if you ask for it, using like regulations and stuff. But in Nostra, the individuals within the system own their data, and they can move between applications. So they are sovereign over their own data. And this is a very powerful idea. And yeah, so anytime we can, so the data is a huge problem. They're using it against us to like make money, and we need to scrape that back somehow. So yeah.
Anyway, I understand that I probably will find many friends in Domus at this time,
Yeah.
but Domus is growing.
Yes.
You told me yesterday that you were more than 20,000 users and a lot of countries. Which are your forecasts for the future of Domus?
Yeah, I mean, so it's growing very slowly. So it's not going to be, we're not going to beat these guys like overnight. We just launched about a year ago. I think we got a big boost from Jack Dorsey, a previous speaker at this event. He just randomly came up one day and DM'd me, and he's like, this seems really cool. I want to try it out. And he spent the next 24 hours just trying all the different Nostra clients. And then like 24 hours later, he messaged me. He's like, how do I send you money? This is amazing. So he's always been a huge supporter of the network because he sees Nostra as what Twitter should have been. And one of his famous posts on Nostra was, this feels like what Twitter was like at 5,000 users, but better. And then, once he said that, it kind of blew up. And so we're getting some big support by a lot of, like Edward Snowden joined the network, and he's been a big supporter as well. So.
In fact, Will, I had the honor to interview Jack Dorsey in this same event 12 years ago, and when I realized that he was endorsing you, I was very, very interested in interview you, and I would dare to ask you in which way people like Jack Dorsey and other founders can help the people to build this digital citizen sovereignty.
Yeah, I mean, he has been, he really cares about this mission of building a more fair and decentralized world, and that's why he didn't want to invest in the company or anything. I had a call with him, and I was like, what should I do? I just got fired from my job. I'm like, should I raise VC funds? He's like, no, this is like, don't make all the mistakes I made. Let's do it right. Let's make it an open source, funded by grants. But he's been a great supporter in terms of grants in the ecosystem. We have the OpenSats initiative, which he donated like $10 million, $50 million. We're mainly Damus is mainly funded by grants. So yeah, if anyone else getting grants, that'd be awesome. But he's been a great supporter.
Do you think that governments, public administration should support this movement to the decentralized networks?
I think so. I think it's in their interest. I think it's a huge liability for them, for like, sovereign states to be dependent on American corporations for like the main communications. They can see everything that you're saying. So it's a huge risk and liability for governments to be using these centralized platforms. But if they're using something like Nostra, they can set up their own relay in their country, and then their organization can use it privately, and only they can see that content. So you can start to build these private kind of social networks that are distinct from like the main network. A good example of this is Japan. So Japan has really taken the Nostra, and they run their own relays within their country, and you can only access the relays from within their country. So they're already doing this in Japan. At least they use some users and people like that, but governments could totally use this technology as well.
Do you trust in a short future people will be owner of his own data?
I truly believe so. If we keep building out technology like Nostra, everyone will be able to control their social graph, be able to control who they follow. No one can say that you're not allowed to follow someone. No one can remove you from the internet. You can't be canceled. Like, this is just the natural order of things. Like, let's just restore humanity back into our technology and stop letting us be, just pawns and, to be used for ad revenue. Like this, we're living in this corrupted state, which is very unnatural, and we need technologies like this to break free and to bring sovereignty back into individuals.
Okay, in fact, we have here in this room a lot of potential future owners of his own data, and probably they have questions to make to you. So you have the word. There is a hand and there is another hand. Two questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very nice presentation. I have a question. Like, what if you are let's say, you want to use demos in a non-social way? Like, let's say I'm just interested in pianos. Can I, do I need to sign up and get an account, or can I just also sort of find maybe some other piano or people who are interested in pianos?
Yeah, so it's a good question because, right now Damus represents kind of like the Twitter experience on Nostr. But, if someone wanted to build an app that just was like for piano enthusiasts, you could have a custom app that works with the same social graph. You can have all the same functionality of like reposting and liking. There's so many opportunities to build custom experiences on this network that use the same data. And I think that's an underappreciated aspect of it, which is all the data, since it's controlled by all the individuals, it's easy to move your data between different platforms. And if you post on Damus, you'll see it in the piano app if you have like hashtag piano or something. Yeah, so it's going to be a large ecosystem of different experiences.
Next question.
Hello, I'm Philippe Page from the Human Colossus Foundation. Great work, what you are doing. I'd like to come back to the question of the market of algorithm, because I truly believe you hit the right point. We totally underestimate the power of algorithm. So removing the centralization of the control of the algorithm is one place. Putting back a more human aspect in the control of the algorithm is really important. So how do you foresee this marketplace for algorithm?
It's an amazing question. So the clients themselves, they can, maybe they have a custom algorithm, like Damus could have a choice of algorithms within their client, but another client might have a different algorithm. I'm actually building something in the Damus right now which allows people to program their own algorithms, and there's going to be like a marketplace where you can go and select different algorithms that different people are making. So we're starting to see the minute you create an open network, you have individuals just innovating in a free market style on top of this network, and we're going to, there's not going to be just like one way to go viral. You're going to go viral in like 20 different ways. So I think that that's going to completely change the way that people think about algorithms in a decentralized network.
One more question, please.
One is the profile of the pioneers using your social network. And in the next year, what is your dream about the success of your company? So the impact that you expect.
What was the first question, sir?
The first is the profile of the pioneers, the first users that they love demos.
Yeah.
And then how do you dream your company next year? Which are the impact that you want to create?
Yeah, so a lot of people on the first users on the network were kind of like freedom-loving people, a lot of Bitcoiners. But it's important to know that this is not built on Bitcoin. We integrate Bitcoin. You can like send people Bitcoin on the network, but it's completely independent of that. So we just had a lot of those people early on, and that actually puts off a lot of people when they're first joining because they see all these crypto bros and stuff. So what we want to do is, this network is truly for everyone. So the goal in the next year or two is just keep growing the network. We have a hashtag called Grow Nostr. So if you go on Damus, search for Grow Nostr, you'll see all the content from like people gardening and people like in their local communities. So we really want to make this for everyone. So that's kind of the goal, is to increase the diversity of the user base.
Any other question? There is one more question. The last.
I have seen you integrate payments, right? Is it part of your business model, like taking account on transactions?
So that was one thing we were experimenting with was, on this network you can basically we call them zaps. So you can send like micro amounts of Bitcoin using the Lightning Network. So we had this feature where you could take, you could optionally turn this on and send a part of that zap to Damas. Unfortunately, Apple says this is not allowed, so I can't do that anymore. But eventually, we're going to have this feature on Android and different other clients that we're going to be building. So it's one possible way to monetize and to fund the development. But we're still exploring other ways as well. We definitely don't want to do advertisement because I feel like that just corrupts too much of like what we're trying to do. But there could be other clients that do advertising to monetize. There's going to be many different ways of monetizing. We're just still trying to figure that out.
Okay, this was the last question, and we must end this interview. I need to say thank you. Thank you, Will, for your help in building the digital citizen sovereignty. See you on Deimos.
Thank you.